Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome, everybody. Sorry, I'm about 5 minutes late here. Hopefully, people are already in. Yep. Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline.
Usual
Welcome,
bad
everybody.
streaming status.
Sorry, I'm
Surprise
about 5
there.
minutes late
Okay,
here.
let's see who's in. Space River
in.
News, Shari D.
Yep. Hi, this is
Janice
Eva for
Windsor,
Once Upon a Timeline.
Tanti
Welcome.
Moody, Shari D. Oh, you're there twice, Shari.
Okay, let's see who's in.
Kilcook
Space River
Monty,
News,
Shari D.
Yep.
Janice
Hi,
Windsor,
Lucas
Zachary,
Tanti
Moody,
Shari
Bosi
D.
333,
Twice, Shari.
Spooner
Kilcook
Morte,
Monty, Shari D.
Great Bowls of Fire,
Lucas Zachary, Tanti Moody,
Mandela 108,
333,
Spooner Morte.
Monty,
I don't even know
Great
what you guys would
Bowls of
tape
Fire,
on your mouth.
Mandela 108.
I kind of like that one. All right, KSB Crafter.
You guys would tape
On your
Cupie,
mouth.
Cupie, you're not first anymore. What happened? You're slipping.
KSB Crafter.
Bit of venom. Let's see.
Cupie.
Oh, you guys
Cupie,
chit
you're
chatting
not
about
first
anything good?
anymore.
What happened? You're slipping.
There is
Bit
no
of
warm. It is the
venom.
middle of May. When is it going to be summer? Monty.
Good.
Yeah. You know, last summer it was freaking hot. It started early. It went late. Since this is San Diego, I'm not complaining because the summer's hot here. And the winter is not that cold, so yeah, we have not got. It's still been raining and stuff, but
not complaining because
for here it's kind of nice actually. Winter is not that cold, so yeah, we have not got no wrench crew inside. Yeah, sorry. I was, actually I was looking at this other thing and I just lost track of time.
Yeah, we have not got. No
Yes,
wrench
I'm
crew inside.
here.
Yeah, sorry. I was, actually I was looking at this other thing
My own
and I
chit
just
chatting. I
lost
can
track
hear
of
it.
time. Yeah, we have not got. No
Yes,
wrench
I'm
crew inside.
here. Quiet, Eva. Quiet. I don't want to listen to you. Does anyone remember that the Fergie saw went from Yorso 2008 to Yortho 2000 and late? That is an old ME that I heard a lot. I didn't really know that song that well, but I've definitely heard that ME like starting about 2 years ago. Rainy again in Minnesota. Now, for me, it went from Mystery Science Theater 2000 to Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's one that definitely changed for me. I actually had thought when I saw the 3000, I thought, oh, well, this is just a new season and they've updated the name to sound more modern. But no, it was always Mystery Science Theater 3000. Actually, I better check that because it's been like 6 months since I looked, but I'm going to flip out if it's not. Theater. All right, let's just see what comes up. 3000. Yep. Always 3. It was MST 2K, not 3K. That one flips me out. I am absolutely positive it was 2000. Mystery. I remember it changed quite a long time ago, too. That was an older ME quite a long time ago. Okay, well, anyway. See, now I'm all off topic. All right. Good morning from Germany. Lately, brand names are changing left and right. Yep. It's almost I've gotten kind of blasé about some of that smaller stuff. It's like all the song lyrics, there's changes. We're singing, I started taking this voice class a couple weeks ago, and we're singing Bridge Over Troubled Waters. In my timeline, there was an S on there, waters. In this timeline, there's no S. I can hardly find a song that hasn't been altered somewhat. Dang, I think I hear that cat out there. Sorry, who remembers salt and pepper? How do you spell it? Salt and pepper, salt and pepper. That's Shari's ME for this week. How do you spell the group salt and pepper? Horse wagon bomb. I kind of, I think I lost the thread of what you guys were talking about. Oh, and the black tom thing. Okay. Okay, let's get started here. Doink. Okay. First subject at hand. Speaking of the weather, I took this photo near my work. You can see there's these really dark clouds in front of these really light clouds. Now, I'm not the first one to take a photo like that. There's been a number of them posted in the last couple months, especially the last month. Somebody posted one, a similar one on Redcon. This is mine, though. I just took this one a few days ago. One thing that people, like the skeptics, were saying was that these dark clouds are shaded by these light clouds. But that is not correct because the sun was behind me when I took this photo. So these dark clouds would actually be hitting the sun full on, and these light clouds are behind them. So these are not shadowed in any way by the clouds in back of them because the sun is out in front. So these, if there was a shadow story, these ones behind should be the dark ones. So no, there was no. It's funny because they're like, I don't know, like 10 skeptics immediately jump forward to say they were in shadow. They're not in shadow. Now, I can't speak for everybody else's photos, but generally speaking, people generally will take photos with the sun behind them when they can. And in this case, I definitely did. This was the later in the day with the sun behind me. Okay. It was a weird day. My old timeline, clouds were all the same color. Then they were, unless it was raining, they were white. If it was really smoggy, then everything would take on a reddish smog haze, but not like now. Now what we get is these weird mauve colored, kind of mauve brown clouds a lot, almost purplish. And you get these real dark ones right next to these real light ones. And then I've noticed a lot of times the light ones will be edged and dark. Like they're just, I don't know, they look fake almost. They're more detailed. I'm sure you'd say they were more beautiful, except for to me they look fake. But I'm wondering if they're going to get more purple down the line because they're hitting that mauve look. Anyway, so this is the latest thing. I've been noticing this happening slowly for the last few years, but it's really kind of hit stride now with the dark clouds up at the same time as the light clouds. Sometimes it'll rain when these clouds are here, and sometimes it won't. Now, this day it did rain, and it was a weird rain because a bunch of storm clouds came in from the east. We heard a ton of thunder, and I've heard other people mention the thunder just sounds weird now. It goes for a long time. It just rattles. To me, it almost sounds like someone's dragging furniture around upstairs or something because it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. So on the east, it was thunder clouds. You could hear the thunder, but to the west, there was no clouds, and the sun was through, and so it was light outside. It was sunny outside. Above us was barely any clouds, but yet it managed to rain. I mean, you could see blue up there, but rain was coming down. This continued on for hours. Rain intermittently, the sky above looking mostly clear, completely sunny, and on the east was these dark clouds and thunder. So it was just really weird. And it was preceded by this was like earlier in the day before it got weird. I don't know. I've had it rain when it was sunny out for like 5 minutes before. I've never had it do it for hours and hours. I don't know why the clouds they just sat there. It was just weird. I don't know. The whole day was weird. Well, anyway, that's my weird complaint for this week. All right. I saw this one earlier this morning. Scientists discover Hawaiian supercorals thriving in warm, acidic water. So I guess we can all relax. The coral reefs aren't all going to be devastated. Researchers have found a set of corals in Hawaii's Kaneohe Bay that can already tolerate warmer temperatures and more acidic waters. Scientists are calling them supercorals. These corals even bounced back after sewage decimated the bay less than 30 years ago. Scientists say the discovery offers hope for reefs' resilience. Now, what's interesting is when you read through this thing, it's not just one coral. There's a bunch of different dominant corals on this reef, and they're all showing this super coral effect. All right, so as I suspected, despite the ongoing drumbeat of the corals are all going to die, what we're really getting is more coral reefs than I've ever seen before in my life. It's just weird. Coral reefs where they never were any pseudo coral reefs. They've got other versions of coral that's almost like coral off the coast of California now. We never had any of that. So, anyways, I don't think the coral reefs are going anywhere. It's like reality is doing opposite of what's on TV. So, and this now is more like what I'm seeing in real life. Just stuff, just all kinds of stuff taking off. There's no explanation for this. How did a whole bunch of different species of coral suddenly become super corals? It just doesn't go with anything that really made sense in my old reality. Maybe even one kind of coral, but no. All different kinds. What did they get? Like some kind of coral steroids on that reef or something? Chanty-moody clouds were white or sometimes gray if they were storm clouds, but they weren't two-toned. Exactly. And I just see a lot of these mauve-colored ones, too, now. They're not gray like storm clouds. They're not white. They're like brownish. Rendering getting bad. Yeah, actually they're more detailed than they used to be. They're nicer looking. They're more, I want to say they're more 3D than ever because you've got different edging colors versus, to me they look fake because clouds never looked like that before. But they're nice looking. They are nice looking. Wall Street bombing, 1920. Oh, did we cover that one before? Wall Street bombing. I think we did. There's so many, because I had like a couple weeks worth of bombings. And I think we covered the Wall Street bombings. There's just a whole bunch of bombings in this timeline. And bombings and, what do you call those? Plane hijackings. In the 1920s, the southeast corner of Wall Street and Broad Street was its most important junction, blah, blah, blah. Rain was forecast, Enough advertising. 100 pounds of dynamite concealed in the wagon detonated with an ear-splitting roar. The blast derailed a streetcar block over. Debris soared as high as the 34th floor of the nearby Equitable building. Pieces of the wagon's ill-fated horse landed hundreds of yards away. Yeah, never heard of it. Big surprise there. The closer to the wagon were consumed in pillars of flame or cut to pieces with hundreds of pounds of metal fragments. Most likely iron sash weights, which had been cruelly piled on top of the bomb. No, but like I said, there's just tons of bombings in this timeline, just tons. Oh, look, we have photos. Oh, it's a tiny little photo. Gosh, dang, some spots are really clear, too. Just not used to seeing photos of all this old stuff. Picture of the metal slugs packed into the bomb as shrapnel. Dang, that thing's an irritating website. All right. Mr. MBB333 has lots of pics like that on his website. Yep. I'm a little bit behind on listening to him. I haven't listened in like a week at least, but yeah, he, it's weird because Every now and then he'll say, oh, I don't remember seeing those, but mostly he just acts like they're normal. Clouds are lower. Yeah, they're getting lower and lower. I've got some stuff to say about the clouds. Maybe I'll jump to that next. Chanty Moody likes my hair. Why, thank you. Basically, I always get it cut like this, and then it grows all out. Not heard thunder for a while. You know, I didn't hear it for about 5 years. No lightning, no thunder. And then this year, it's making up for lost time because there's been a ton. Was it someone? What makes a cloud gray? You know, it's supposed to be moisture, I guess. I mean, that's how it used to be. I don't know what makes them brown, though. It's weird. Scientists found out that if you shatter coral and replant them, they can replace lots of the coral faster. Oh yeah, I saw that. Did I have that on? I can't remember if I decided to put that on. But they were saying that if you take little fragments of coral, then the frags would grow like double time or something. There was a way to get them to grow like 3 times faster. So there's been a lot of good news about for coral the last month or two. Blue coral showed up about a year ago for me. There is coral everywhere now. I mean, we didn't have any coral off California before. It's cold here, and they've got all kind of weird stuff like at different levels now. You look skinnier, been losing weight. No, I just lost hair. You get a different haircut. No, I wish. No, I haven't lost any. I haven't gained any, so that's good, but I haven't lost any. I've never heard you talking about the Wall Street bombing. Now, I know that there was like 2 weeks in a row that I talked about bombings. There was a whole bunch of stuff from Bob Bobertson on bombings. And I think that the Wall Street bombing was in there, but I can't swear to it. Frogs vomit their entire stomachs. Yeah. And sharks. I'm pretty sure I covered the frog thing when I covered the shark. And there's a lot of sea creatures that used to say that they would emit gastric juices onto something to digest it and then slurp it back up. Like say they would capture a prey and emit gastric juices, digest it, and then slurp back up the stuff. Now that some of those have changed to that they will barf out their whole stomach onto there, where it used to just be the juices only, and now it's the whole stomach. So yeah, this whole barfing up of the stomach thing is popular in this timeline. We didn't have that in the old timeline. Octagon starfish. Yeah, I covered that one. I think it was last week. Maybe 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think it was last week, the square starfish. Might have been 2 weeks ago. Okay, so Wall Street bombing, check. All right, so maybe I'll jump ahead to this whole let's see. All right. This one makes me laugh. All right, here we go. I got a whole bunch of notes on there, so I'm reviewing them. Now, this one was actually, I meant to have this on last week. Somehow I skipped it, and when I was going over my notes, I realized I skipped it. So this one was brought up by Mark Pearson, commenter on the channel. Good find. Supposed to be on last week, but I totally skipped it. But anyways, it fits in good with this week's. Okay, so they're now saying that the number one greenhouse gas is water vapor. Used to be like carbon dioxide, basically. They're now saying the number one greenhouse gas is water vapor. And so, I was supposed to pull this one up and highlight some stuff, but I never did. Now, a lot of us have noticed that there's a lot lower clouds than there used to be, and there's these high cirrus clouds. So what they're saying now, in my old timeline, they said that clouds protected against they protected against global warming because they reflected the sun. So when I was seeing all these clouds in this timeline, I'm thinking, well, maybe that'll help us with the global warming. But the current news story is that the low cumulus clouds, which are more like we remember from the past, but then they're lower now than they ever were, those cumulus clouds block the sun and help with global warming. But the high cirrus clouds do the reverse. They actually trap the heat in and become a greenhouse gas themselves because they're too thin to block much sun. And so the sun goes bouncing in and right through. So supposedly the heat and sun get through the clouds, but then somehow, even though they're thin, they can still block the heat from escaping. I don't really understand how you can be too thin to shade the earth, but still be thick enough to block the heat from escaping. But that's the storyline. So they're now saying that the number one greenhouse gas is water vapor. And that CO2 is not that big a deal, but there's this whole cycle that the water vapor goes through that if you that amplifies global warming is what they're saying. So anyways, I don't know. I've just never heard of that being considered a greenhouse gas. So Mark Pearson, good find. Let's see. Let me see what else I had in there. High clouds, yeah, are the number one greenhouse gas. Water is the most powerful greenhouse gas. I don't know if it was in this article, but it wasn't one of them. All right, so weird. Now we have, I guess you have to get rid of the water. No breathing, you people. Hope the barfing is not getting the new body change. Yeah, that's funny you said that. I'm like, as long as humans don't do it, I want to pass on to the other side if humans are going to be barfing up their stomachs. Oh, Korora is not... Wait a minute. Koror Palau. Koror is not in Palau anymore? Okay, wait. What is Mu? Oh, that must be that Micronesian thing. I think we talked about that before, the territories of Micronesia now or something. Is it? And Palau is not a territory anymore. I mean, Guam is not a territory anymore. I noticed when I was looking at my account and come on my address, it was Koror MU instead of Koror Palau. I looked up MU and it was something about outlying territories of U.S. Yeah, I've covered that one before. I remember Guam being a territory of the U.S. and Puerto Rico being a territory of the U.S. And I'm actually quite sure of this because my mother lived on Guam for a long time. And those were the two territories of the U.S. Outside the 50 states and Hawaii and Alaska. So, well, those are part of the 50 states, but So that's changed because Guam isn't even a territory anymore, and now you have this weird Micronesian something there's a bunch of islands that they're calling those a territory. I've covered that before though. Charity of Faith, I've got a good Emmy video, but I can't post a link in chat. You can post it on the comments though. A new Emmy, Buzz Aldrin has a wristwatch on his famous pic on the moon. The watches that went to the moon. I want to see the image. Would that even work right with gravity all goofy? Can't find it. Oh, there. Okay. Are you serious? I mean, it kind of makes sense. You need to know what time it was, but I mean, if you're in touch with ground control, then they should be able to tell you when to come in. But, yeah, no, I don't remember any of that. I don't even remember the gloves being that dark, to be honest. Okay. Anyways, but you know, that's not one I could swear to, definitely. According to Google, there's 16 territories. Oh, the Mariana Islands. I think that's the one. Wait, Guam's a territory again? Guam, Virgin Islands. Okay, I remember reading about Virgin Islands last time. Wait, okay, let me just look up Guam again. All right, so it's an unincorporated and organized territory. It didn't used to be all that stuff though. That one just showed up, a year ago? And now we also have unincorporated and unorganized territories too. It was weird. All right, so I think it's that Mariana Islands. That's the one that showed up. Oh, you know what? I'm saying it wrong. I'm sorry. Guam and Puerto Rico were commonwealths, not territories. Now they're territories. God, you know, it's like the new reality is infecting me. It's commonwealth. They were commonwealths. Now they're all territories. But let's see, Commonwealth. Let me see now. So it should be those islands around Guam that are now the Commonwealth. And there didn't used to be states that were Commonwealths either. That one showed up a few years ago. So 4 states are now Commonwealths: Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Virginia, and Massachusetts. They were never Commonwealths before. All right, we need to find the Commonwealth. That is not insular area. A Commonwealth is a type of organized and unincorporated dependent territory. Northern Mariana Islands, and Puerto Rico. Okay, so that has not changed since last time I checked. It's still those Mariana Islands, which are near Guam, and Puerto Rico that are the Commonwealths now. Before it was Guam and Puerto Rico that were the Commonwealths. You know, and if you read this, it's like so confusing, you'll go insane. So it's really easy to not remember that. I just remember the word, but I really can't remember the definitions. Does anyone remember reindeer eyes changing color with the season? Blue in winter and gold in summer. Are you telling me they do that now? Because I sure... Oh, that's funny. I like that one. Reindeer eyes change color. All right. When squeezed together, they reflect blue wavelengths. So as reindeer spend months of darkness, their permanently dilated pupils lead to swollen eyes, compressing the fibers in their tapetum and changing the color of light they reflect. That's a good find. Good find, people. Good find. I'm going to write this one down. Oh my gosh. Reindeer eyes. Ghosty 333 found that one. Yeah, good find. Blue in winter, gold in summer. Yeah, no. That's craziness. Man, you know, it's so weird to hear all this because when I was growing up, if you said that you thought your eyes changed color, people would act like you were some nut job, lunatic, fantasy island, pot smoking dum-dum. I mean, like, you could never say that without being ridiculed because everybody knew that eyes never changed color. It was genetic. And they go, oh no, it was probably just the light made him look different, or the clothing or the makeup made him look different because eyes never change color. Well, in this timeline, they do all the time. It's just so weird to have been like people acting like you're a total moron, and now they're like, so what? Didn't you know that? And skeptics wonder why we get so sick of their crap on retcon. It's stuff like this. Thanks for the compliment, Silver E55. Yeah, I think this haircut came out pretty good. You know, she usually parts it on this side for the longest time, and then she kind of spaced out and parted it on this side this time too. And I think it helps when you switch back and forth. Baby's eyes change color. I'm not sure on this timeline. I'm from the rarely known timeline where babies were born with their eyes closed for just like animals for several, was it like 3 days, I believe, and then they would open them. So once they opened them, though, they were the color they were supposed to be. They would be, I mean, if you had brown eyes, then you'd have brown eyes. Okay, yes, I do remember reading about this maybe a few months ago, that the baby's eyes change color, that they tend to get darker. It's more like cats and stuff now. When do a baby's eyes change color? I didn't have that. In my timeline, the babies were born with their eyes shut, and then after about 3 days, they'd pop them puppies open slowly, and that would be their eye color. What you saw was what you got. Will they always have those baby blues, or will they eventually turn brown? Sometime between 6 and 12 months. But it takes as long as 3 years until you see the true color of what your eyes are going to be. If you have brown early on, they're not going to become blue. Anyway, so yeah, I guess they're just basically saying that there's more pigment developing in the eye over time. That wasn't a thing for me. But you know, in this timeline, your eyes, even as an adult, can change color slowly. And I have noticed that mine have. I've lost most. I used to have about half brown and half kind of a gray-green. A lot of the brown is gone, and there's kind of a little bit of a golden color there and more green than it used to be. So I've been watching that for years. And, you know, coming from a timeline when it was impossible, so I just would shut my mouth and be like, oh, people are going to think I'm crazy. Chanty Moody saw 2 people who remembered Sinbad being in Shazam. I told them it's an ME. Supposedly it never existed. So what did they say after you said it never existed? I'm just curious. How did they handle that information? They argued that Shazam really existed, and I am supposedly confusing it with another movie because I have a bad memory, because practically everyone knows the movie is real. Oh, that's funny. So you couldn't get them on Google to check, but you have a bad memory. And see, and here's again why you get so irritated with the skeptics and their bad memory crap, because they haven't even checked. They don't even know what this timeline says, and already they're saying it's bad memory. I mean, at least get your facts straight before you accuse somebody of having bad memory. People, they're just, half of them are so sure they have to be right. I kind of understand that. They're sure of their memory, so therefore you must be wrong because they are sure. That kind of makes sense, actually. But the other half of them, anything that's anomalous, they immediately blame it on bad memory. And that is extra irritating because they don't even know themselves. They're just assuming that it has to be bad memory. And sometimes they don't even have their story right. My hair changes color to blonde in the summer, even my beard. That one's one that I've heard of, though, having somewhat light hair myself. Swimming pools, a lot of sunlight, that kind of thing, salt water, supposedly all can bleach your hair. So it wasn't like a DNA thing or anything. It was just that your hair got bleached by the elements. All the newborns used to have blue eyes. Now I've heard about that from cats for a long time, but that they're saying that if you're born with brown eyes, they're not going to turn blue. So therefore, some kids must be born with brown eyes. There's a new concept, late life mortality. Supposedly aging slows down the older you get. Well, so you get to, say you get to like my age and then you just stop aging, right? Why do people slow down? Oh, no, I don't like that. Why do people slow down? Your metabolism sound. Why does time speed up? Physics trying to explain the crazy time frames. Late life mortality. All right, I'm going to type it in like that. Late life mortality deceleration. All right, you know what? I'm super thirsty, so I'm going to grab a water. Let me see if I have one back here. Oh, I do. Yes. Yes. Is the phenomenon of hazard rate increasing at decreasing rate. It's increasing at a decreasing rate in later life, rather than increasing exponentially as in the Gompertz law. You're increasing at a decreasing rate. That one takes some wrapping around with the brain. Late life is typically after 85 years of age. However, a recent paper concludes that mortality deceleration is negligible up to the age of 106. I can't say I really understand this very well. Hazard rate increasing at a decreasing rate rather than increasing log linearly. So I think what this means is that your chance of dying is kind of flatlines, like at some point, I guess. Mortality leveling off, or rather refer to regions where hazard rate is approximately so like, say you have a 10% chance of dying when you're 100, but that year maybe you'll still have another 10% chance of dying when you're 101, and another 10% chance of dying when you're 102, and another one when you're 103, like that. Whereas you would think that you would have a 10% chance of dying at 100, and then like a 15% chance of dying when you're 101, and 120% chance, like that. You would think that you are more and more likely to die as each year passes. So I think that's what they're saying, that it levels off, something like that, or at least doesn't accelerate as fast as they thought. It's an interesting concept. It kind of fits in with my prediction that we're going to live longer and longer. I think we're coming into a time where we can live a lot longer, because I've already seen it. It used to be when you were 100, you could barely walk and you were going to die any second. And now you see people dancing around on the stage, eating their birthday cake and smoking a cigar on their 100th birthday. And that just did not happen before. And people live to be 120 now. That did not happen before. You need to worry when you walk into a room in your house and have no idea why you went in there. No, I disagree with you. I swear that that's normal behavior. Because I do it fairly often, especially at work. But, well, let's just say I've got like 10 things on my mind at work. And I walked up there to do something, but then somebody bugged me about something else, and now the computer's not working, and oh yeah, don't forget to do that. And then, oh yeah, why did I come up here again? So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Yep, witnessed the Flintstones. Lots of Reddit discussions with that one. I just remembered wrong. LOL. Yes, exactly. And then when you see their skeptic stories flip completely on why you remembered wrong, because I come from a Flintstones timeline, and for quite some time I was in Flintstone, and all the skeptics were saying that the show was named after some guy named Flynn, Flyn, who was involved in the production, and they named it after him. And I thought, well, that's just stupid sounding anyways. But they're all saying, oh, that's why it's Flintstones, because of this guy Flynn. And then it flipped back to Flintstones, which, as far as I know, is where it is now. And all of that, then we have this whole another skeptic brigade that it's named after the Stones, so obviously it's going to be Flint. Whereas just months before, obviously it was named after Flynn. So it's like, just shut up, man. I don't want to hear it. Tell it to the hand. Two people refused to listen to you about that Shazam movie. That's funny. They wouldn't look it up. You know, usually when people are right and you say, "Well, I'm going to get I'm going to get my phone out and look it up on Google." Usually they're all excited about it because they think you're going to get proven wrong and they can laugh in your face. So they're like, yeah, just look it up because they're positive that they're right. So it's interesting when that response, that normal response, doesn't occur. You know, they're usually more than happy to show you how wrong you are. Found some new Mandanimals. Should I post them? Yes, put them up. Let's see if there are any new ones that I haven't heard about yet. Now, some of the smaller ones, like the insects, I'm just not dealing with those too much because there's millions of them. Insects and birds, there's just millions of new ones. You'll just never get them all. Christmas tree worms. Ew. I don't know why there's got to be something creepy every Christmas. Upside down Christmas trees, pickles in the Christmas tree. All right, let's see. Christmas tree worms. We got pickles last year. Okay. They're not in the Christmas tree. All right. They just look like Christmas trees. Oh, they are cute, aren't they? Look at that. You know, I think I saw some of these brownish ones last year, but I didn't see these blue ones. They're cute. Look at all these different ones. So what, you can get these for your aquarium? Porites corals may be due for a comeback. For a comeback? Yeah. Nobody had them to start with, guys. Come on, if you could have that cool thing in your aquarium, they would have never died out. Christmas tree worm rock porites corals. So there's some kind of weird coral. It's a wonder that they ever fell out of the spotlight from the reefing scene. I promise you they weren't in it. Whether it's because they harken back to the mid-90s of reefing when we dove in or just because they are simply interesting. Christmas tree worm rock porites has always held a special place in our heart. Look at those things. Those are so cool. Nothing is inherently new that everything gets old. Everything old gets recycled again into new fats. Nothing is inherently new. These suckers are new. Nothing is inherently new. I beg to differ. Sometimes the wording in these stories is just so ironic. I think they're doing it on purpose. All right, so apparently these are easy to care for as far as saltwater aquarium creatures are concerned. Huh. All right. Well, yeah, those are cool. Yeah, anyway, yeah, go see three. I have not covered Christmas tree, rock, porite, corals. Those are cool. And I'm a little bit better on aquarium fish because I used to have an aquarium. I used to as a kid I would go to the store all the time, the aquarium store, and look at all the offerings. So is flint a type of rock? Because flint is. No, flint is not a type of rock. They were saying that Flintstones was named after a person. This is what the skeptics were saying. They were saying that Flintstones, Flynn without the T, was named after a person involved in the production of the show whose name was Flynn. I think it was Flyn, but it might have been Flyne or something. So they were saying, obviously, this guy was so important that they named the show after him, which sounds absolutely asinine now, but they were absolutely convinced of it when it was Flintstones. Of course, that all magically disappeared when it became Flintstones again. Yeah, I always agreed that it seemed obvious that it should have a T because everything in there was named after rocks. But somehow the skeptics all were just so convinced that even though everything in there is named after rocks, Flintstones was named after the one of the production guys, and it just sounded so dumb. But you know how self-righteous the skeptics could be. Obviously, this has to be true. 70 years old people look so young now. I know, I know. Actually, my mom was 78 when she died, and she was really healthy up until the last 2 months. I mean, you would not think that she was 78. How about looking for your glasses while wearing them? Haha! That is a specialty of many people. I just am too lazy to wear glasses, so that doesn't happen. Looking for your glasses will wear them. You know what I usually see is people looking for their glasses when they're on their, they flipped them up on their head. I have not seen people look for their glasses when they're actually on their eyes. Dang it, suddenly there's like a, sometimes it's like the chat kind of shuts down and I don't see any movement, and then there'll be 5 pages of stuff. Boom. They thought spoofs about the movie were proof. Huh. It's interesting. I wonder what would happen if you pushed them on it. So there's no worms in the Christmas trees. There's worms that look like Christmas trees. I had assumed wrong. Let's just wait and see what we've got. Gosh, you know, we're almost halfway to Christmas already. Time is blasting past. Let's just see what weird stuff comes by next Christmas. Christmas isn't the same for me anymore. It comes by too soon. It's just like, oh, we just did this. Has anybody seen the shoe that some see gray and some see pink? No, I have not seen that one. Let's see. Pink. Ah. The shoe. All right, people. Pink and white or teal and gray. That one's a tough one. For me, it looks a little bit teal and a little bit pink. The pink is subtle, but this, I wouldn't call this gray. I'd still call this pink. Slightly pink. But this is not pink and white or teal and gray. So I guess this is supposed to be white if you see this pink. So I fit outside the box on this one. T-Box is in. Welcome. You see gray, green. My husband sees pink and white. I see green and pink. Crescent-shaped shadows during eclipse leaves shadows turn into pinhole cameras. Ah! All right, now I'm confused. Crescent, shadow, eclipse. Pinhole camera. All right, let's see if we can figure that out because I'm confused. See the solar eclipse using nature's pinhole camera. What causes crescent-shaped shadows during solar eclipse? Expand your makeup. What? What? The gaps between the leaves of the trees make natural pinhole cameras? Each of these. Ooh. Okay, so there's all these. Oh, my brain. It's too late at night to process this much weird crap. Okay. That's just weird. Okay, so apparently during a partial eclipse, the shadows all turn into these little crescents. The shadows through the leaves turn to crescents. The gaps between the leaves of the trees make pinhole cameras. Blah. I'm out of brain cells, but I call ME on that one. That's just weird. God, there's a bunch of weird stuff. You guys are coming up with a lot of stuff lately. Okay, so we got Christmas tree worms. Eclipse shadows. Make pinhole cameras. I'm going to have to look at that into that. That science is like, my brain is too tired to fight with that science right now. That's just weird. No wonder you couldn't explain it. See the solar eclipse using nature's pinhole camera tree leaves. Look at that. What the... Psh. The partial eclipse will appear as millions of tiny crescents covering the city's sidewalks. Now, I did not hear crap about this when the actual eclipse happened. Of course, you can witness the eclipse by looking up at the sun. Just be sure to wear protective eyewear. Wait a minute. Special... You know what? I mean, I was there during one of these eclipses. I have a bunch of trees in the yard. It did not turn into a bunch of crescents. And I got the welder's glasses. I know it's not supposed to be safe, whatever. But I got the welder's glasses anyway. And I looked through them and I saw the eclipse. And I did not, and I was right there next to the trees, and I can tell you that the sunlight did not turn into a bunch of crescents. Oh, no. Light is just so weird here at this timeline. That's so weird. Oh, I don't know what to say. Anyway, yeah, time matters. Good find. Good find. Time matters. What do you hear, Yanni or Laurel? I can't remember. I think I heard Laurel, but I can hear either one depending on which one I think about. Flower of the Holy Spirit, orchids. Oh, cool. All right, so we've got, what, these weird bird-looking orchids. Oh, look at that thing. Is that real? Click. Monkey face orchid. I'm a little suspicious on that one with these eyes here. Okay, I've seen those. Those are out for a few years now. The dudes with the... Okay, I don't really see what that is. Oh, I think I saw that one not too long ago. I have not seen this one yet. That one's cool. I have not seen this duck one. That one's cool. That thing again. I don't know what that's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be like a person. I don't think I've seen that one yet. Oh, it looks like a bee. I've not seen that one. Monkey faces. I don't think I've seen those either, actually. Have not seen those. So that must be the Holy Spirit one there. This bird one, I think. Cool. So the naked man one I've seen. Duck orchids, I've not seen those. Oh, weird how they look before. They look like these... It looks like praying. So now it looks cool even before it blooms, and it looks cool after it blooms. So before it blooms, it looks like these saints in robes, and then after it blooms, it looks like this bird. So it's double cool. Very neat. Oh, maybe I'll put that one on the notes too. Holy Spirit orchids. Duck orchids. All right, naked man orchids are a little bit older one. This one's extra cool. This what did I just call that? Holy Spirit orchids. because you've got a double now. You've got the pod looking cool, and you've got the bloom. I mean, there's no way you wouldn't hear about that. That's so cool. Duck orchids. All right, I'll just type in duck orchids, although I think we've already seen them on that last link. Duck orchids. Die of old age here. Yep, cool. Very cool. I'm really curious about this cat thing, though. What is that? This. Oh, look at that one. Holy Ghost orchid. There's so many weird orchids now. That's interesting there. I wonder, there's not much info on this one. Huh. I wonder if it's hard to tell with these seed sellers because some of their stuff is not legit. All right, anyway, let's get on with it here. Rat eating pitcher plant. I think we've covered that one. Not today, but in the past. Which carnivorous plants claim the biggest animals for nutrition? I can't think of anything bigger than that rat eating pitcher plant, actually. Pinhole crescents would have been reported for centuries. Yeah, we've had all these eclipses lately, and not one peep about them. I think I need a beer. Never saw pinhole crescents. Yeah, no, that is an interesting find. That is definitely interesting. My brain's a little full today. I've just kind of seen too many weird MEs today. Cat and bird head were fake, but most of those other ones were real. Yeah, the cat one looked fake, but I'm wondering, what I found is these weird fake ones show up and then another version that's real follows it. So keep a sharp eye on the cat heads one, because we're seeing so many weird headed flowers now, and weird shaped flowers. I would not be at all surprised if a cat head one is coming down the chutes, a real one this time. Apparently Sherlock Holmes never said elementary, my dear Watson. Is Mandela affected? I think, you've already covered that one. I was about to say that's been on another show. At least it was your show. I know I've seen that one before, and I think it was on yours. Anyway, Mandela affected. If you saw that one, the eclipse moon crescent. What the hell? Pinhole cameras. Google that. That is so weird. If you have not seen that one yet, I don't know how long you've been lurking for. Okay, so where are we going now? Blah, blah, blah. All right, this one I wanted to bring people's attention to just because it was really interesting. This is on somebody else's channel. It's on the channel, YouTube channel called SMQAI. I really don't know much about this channel, but this one video I watched, and this video is good. I have not had time to really peruse the rest of it. He's got a doctor on, interview with a doctor of internal medicine about the Mandela effect. Now, this doctor, I don't think he comes from my timeline. I think he comes from a timeline that's a little closer to this current timeline, but he does see a lot of MEs, and not all the ones that I see, but he does see, like he sees the kidney MEs. But he also has some interesting things to say about things he's noticed when he was in practice. And he is not currently practicing, which is why it's safe for him to blather on about the Mandela effect without fear of losing his license, since he does not practice right now. But he noticed some really interesting things about the opiates and side effects of opiates and how that's changed. And this is not something, I really didn't know much about opiates since I haven't taken them and none of my family has. But he noticed a lot of changes in how opiates were reacting in people and affecting people, and could explain why we have this opiate epidemic now. Because he was saying that when they first came out, it was just different. So there's a lot of interesting things in here. You can tell that this guy really was a doctor. I mean, he really knows his terminology. He rattles it off. He's a real deal. So I definitely suggest that anybody who's interested at all in the biological MEs, go and at least watch this 1 hour long spiel on Interview with a Doctor of Internal Medicine about the Mandela Effect. And that's the SMQAI YouTube channel. Definitely watch that. Only 2,700 views. It doesn't seem like that many considering the material. Definitely think you should watch that one. Okay. Now, where am I here? Where did I even start at? I don't even remember. All right, let's just start here. I feel like I haven't even started yet. All right. You guys are coming up with all the good stuff. Oh, yeah, this one. I was going to talk about this one. One thing about this timeline, I swear there is it seems like this timeline and the way we're going, it's just tearing down everything from the past. Just everything you ever believed in, everything you were ever told, every famous person, any person you looked up to is getting tarnished. Any facts that you ever told is getting tarnished. Any relics, all the ancient stuff that we looked up to, like the pyramids and the Mona Lisa, and all these paintings are kind of degrading. They don't look as good, or they're being debunked. And this is another example of it, is the nuclear hoax. mileswmathis.com/trinity.pdf. There's a bunch of this stuff out. This one kind of summarizes it. But basically now, I don't know if Mandela Affected is still on, but a ways back, Mandela Affected channel was talking about how he noticed differences in the plumes from the atomic bombs. And that kind of ties in with this, because this guy now is making a really good case for the whole atomic thing to be fake, potentially fake. I mean, it's a good case. All right, so there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. I do not remember that you could just walk up to ground zero 2 weeks later and stand there. And this is supposed to be ground zero. There was a tower right here, and that was one of the pillars of the tower, and this was another one. And they're all just standing there. They don't have any radiation stuff. And the only thing they're wearing is they supposedly have white shoes to keep the trinitite off of their feet. Trinitite is it's a melted glass from the bombs. I mean, do you see any trinitite around here? Even if it was there, I don't know. I don't see how that's going to do anything. It's just ridiculous. There's no crater. It doesn't even look like a bomb went off. The whole thing is just weird. A lot of these, he's just got photos and he just kind of rips them apart for being stupid. And I can't argue with a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff really does look stupid. All right. This is an interesting one. As more evidence, you may not know that before the Trinity test, and that was one of the nuke tests, was run, a rehearsal was run 2 months earlier. In this rehearsal, 108 long tons of high explosive were detonated in the same place. Curiously, this conventional explosion was spiked with radioactive isotopes and gamma producers, and they admit that. Okay, so you're doing a test run for a nuclear explosion, and your test run is to take conventional explosions and explosives and blow them up. What is that going to tell you? It's just, I've never heard of such a thing. And then they're spiking it with radioactive isotopes. Why would they do that? What are they going to learn about their nukes by blowing up conventional explosions? That's weird. So this is the stack of explosives they supposedly blow up as a test run for the nukes. So then he argues, how can you tell the difference between blowing up a bunch of conventional explosives spiked with isotopes versus blowing up a nuke? You can't, because nobody knows the difference. It shows a lot of photos with weird anomalies, like the lighting not being quite right. All right, these are supposed to be very similar sized nukes here. There's a photo of one. It looks anemic. This one looks like a hole to China, although China's not on the opposite side of the Earth anymore. But once upon a time, if you blew all the way through the Earth, you would be on China. But so just kind of weird. Why does one... the lighting on these guys looks different than the lighting back over here. It looks like composite. Let's see, I think that's all the stuff I had to say. The one thing that I really wanted to say was an ME for me, though. And I don't know if it is for a lot of other people, but I am 100% positive that the 2 bombs that we dropped on Japan were made out of the same stuff. They were both uranium bombs. In this timeline, one of them was a uranium bomb, and one of them was a plutonium bomb. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Let's see if I can find somewhere in here. He's got photos. Okay, so here's the uranium one, and this is the plutonium one. Just like, 3 weeks difference between the bomb? How did we advance that fast? In my timeline, they made 2 bombs, and they were both the same bomb. I mean, we didn't have the tech to make one bomb and then make a whole nother bomb 3 weeks later. So we made the same bomb. We made 2 of them, and that's all we were able to produce in that time frame. We dropped 2 of them on Japan, and they were praying that they would then give up because we had no more bombs. We were out of bombs. It would have taken way longer to make more. We were hoping that they wouldn't call their bluff, and they did it. Well, in this timeline, we did 1 uranium, and then we did 1 plutonium. There was another thing that they apparently decided to delete all of the old records of the uranium one because they said it wouldn't be needed. Let's see. Let me find that one. I had it highlighted, but... I think I killed all my highlights. Dope. So they're saying they didn't need to test it. I can kind of... Actually, that's the one thing I don't agree with him. I don't think they had time... In my timeline, they didn't have time to test it because we only could build 2. So they're just going to drop them and hope they went off. Okay, so one of the stories now, apparently, though, is that they didn't think they'd ever make the uranium bombs again, so they kind of got rid of all those records of how they made it because they didn't need it. And then they talked about how they deleted all the records of the first moon landing because they didn't need it. And then he starts talking about how just about every big deal thing that happens, something weird is, like, for instance... at 9/11, they just happened to be doing a test run on what happens if planes flew into a building. the military was practicing on that right when it happened. And then the same thing at Sandy Hook and a whole bunch of other places. This just wasn't the case. Oh, here we go. Compared to the way they now run drills for newer fake events, remember how there were all sorts of drills occurring on 9/11, simultaneous with the actual event, and the drills were actually related to plane hijacking, too. If you look, that was not in my old timeline, but it is now. Same thing with the 7/7 events in London, where identical drills were happening on the same day. Same thing with Sandy Hook and most of the other tragedies. There's always rehearsals just before or during the events. See, same thing with Trinity Test, which has this strange rehearsal 2 months earlier with a conventional blast to make it look like a nuclear blast. Why? All right, so in this timeline, things are just really weird. That's all I have to say. Almost anything I look into now, there's a giant bunch of evidence that it's a hoax. And a lot of these things are just things that we saw MEs in. Like, doesn't this blast look different than you remember? And then later we find out that that there's evidence of a hoax related to that. Oh, Plume, I forgot about the bat poo eater plant. I saw that and I thought, did I cover that one? I can't remember if I covered that one, but I'm going to just, I'll put that in there because every now and then my brain is just overloaded with Mandelas. The poop eating pitcher plant. Oh, yeah. So apparently this, dang it, I hate it when they do that. This pitcher plant is just the right size for bats to sleep in, so they snuggle on in there. I don't know why they want to squish their butts into this pitcher plant, but they squish in there, and then they poop right into the pitcher plant, and the pitcher plant feeds on the poops. So it's the poop-eating pitcher plant. It's designed to be just the right size for bats to poop in, to sleep and poop in. That's the story. Evolution is going to have a hard time explaining a bunch of this stuff. That's all I have to say. So, yeah, good find, Plume. Sorry. I almost said your name wrong. It's getting late. I'm kind of stupid today. The whole Twin Towers thing was fake, holographic. The evidence that something was very wrong there is just bigger every week. God, my ears are acting up too. Really ringing today. And I can hear my blood pounding in my ear. It seems like conspiracy theories have more evidence to support them as time goes on. Yeah, there's just it just seems like every month you're just like, are you, ridiculous coincidences, just ridiculous. And stuff on film, like on 9/11 now, this was not true in my old timeline, but at 9/11 they actually have I think it was Tower 7. They've got several different newscasters. One was, I think it was CNN and BBC, both reporting that Tower 7 had collapsed. And both of them are reporting that it had collapsed, and the cameras trained on them. And behind them, you can see that Tower 7 has not collapsed yet. It doesn't collapse for like 20 minutes. They're both on there going, and we have reports that Tower 7 has collapsed. And it's obviously still there in the video right behind them. I don't see why anybody thought that Tower 7 would collapse. I just, 3 buildings collapse. The first 3 buildings ever to collapse from fires all happened right then. There was no reason to think. I mean, no plane had hit Tower 7. There was no reason to think it would collapse. So why were these different reporters all reporting it collapsed? It just so many weird things now. So what killed people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, according to this author? Conventional explosions. They just firebombed it and just kind of, apparently we're firebombing all over the place. So that's the story. Would it not have affected by radiation for generations? Yeah, they're saying that they just conventional explosions plus some radioactive isotopes intermixed, and even they're saying now that territory is safe to live in. The radiation is no longer at harmful levels, so generations are not affected. Radiation is not going to affect generations now. According to the current timeline. So anyway, read the whole thing for yourself, but basically, I don't know. I would just keep an eye on it. I'm not saying swallow it hook, line, and sinker, but every month that goes by, things shift, and there's more evidence for these things being fraud every month. So I don't know what the truth is. Maybe the truth is different in every timeline. Maybe the truth is a running target that's very hard to hit. But in my timeline, when you had something like the nuclear accident in Russia, and they said that nobody could live there for thousands of years. Well, now they're saying it's a paradise, an animal paradise, and all the animals are thriving because the humans are gone, and the radiation's not that bad. And they're saying that all that radiation that in my timeline was going to ruin that section of Japan for hundreds of years, now they're saying you could just live there. And so that something's going on weird about the whole radiation stories. So if I get to a timeline where they say that, hey, it turns out we never really dropped a nuclear bomb there, I don't think I would be surprised at this point. I don't. And I see all the time, like I just saw an article today about the Russian nuclear accident there, Chernobyl. And they were just saying, oh, well, we reported that for years people reported that all the animals were sick and dying, but it turned out that those were all wrong. And when we really went in there and really investigated, we found out that all the animals are doing great. So at any minute they can just flip it around and say all that stuff was turned out to be wrong, and now the truth is this. Yeah, I agree with you. There's still holes in the theory about the nukes being fake, but the theory also pokes a lot of holes in nukes being real. So that's why I would say read that PDF, the Trinity PDF. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in there. And it may be that nothing really makes sense because we haven't shifted all the way to where we're going yet. So when we're in the middle, there's evidence for both sides, maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff, though. All I know is that in my old timeline, we were told stuff about radiation, and that is rapidly falling by the wayside right now. And even mainstream accepted that, the radiation's not that bad anymore. This was deadly radiation that was going to ruin the land for hundreds of thousands of years, and now it's no big deal. You saw those people standing on ground zero 2 weeks after the bomb went off on those tests. They're just standing there, and all they've got is white coverings on their shoes. Really? I mean, I looked up some of these photos. These photos are readily available. Now, these guys all didn't die from radiation later, these dudes. Let's see if I can get rid of that coloration. All these people. This was right after the bomb. The bomb went off right here. I mean, like, they're just basically standing on it. And they didn't all die of radiation sickness. You can see they've got no special protection or anything. I mean, there's all these photos of people standing, like, really close by. See if I can find it. There they are again on the supposed bomb test site right afterwards. These guys are way too close. Although I agree with him when he says that he thinks that this might be a fake photo. Some soldiers in the foreground, and then these are all fake in here. They release these really, really grainy photos. Now, we've been talking about how the photo quality is very high, even going back 100 years. But yet, on these nuke test ones, their photo quality sucks dog. It's all grainy and just terrible. And one likely to me, and I agree with him when he says this explanation, is if you take a good quality photo and you really, really degrade it, it's a lot harder to notice alterations. It's a lot harder to find the clues in it that show where they've made modifications. There's just really no reason for these horrible low quality photos. See, this one really does look fake. The lighting is off on this one. Those guys are way too close. Look, I mean, they were talking about these nuke bombs ruining film 2 states over. So how are these guys sitting here with these tripods taking this photo then? There was another one here. Let me find this one. So they gave the time for when this was supposed to go off, 5:29 MWT. That's 38 minutes before local sunrise. Does this photo here look like it's 38 minutes before local sunrise? Obviously, the light source is over here because look at the shadows. So you can't argue that this light is coming from the nuke blast because the shadows show that it's coming from over here. So this is not 38 minutes before sunrise. No, it's not. Something very fishy about some of these photos. All right, anyways. I'm not getting very far through my list today. All right. Let's see what you guys are up to. Scorpions have always been arachnids to me. Yeah, nope, not me. Plume, I like the... I was going to talk about the population hoax, but I just didn't have time to research it. Who brought that one up? Somebody mentioned that one. I think somebody mentioned it on Retcon, actually. I just heard about that, the population hoax. But I couldn't quite... I didn't have it together enough to talk about what it was. They barely had enough uranium for 2 bombs. Yes! 2 bombs of uranium. Omega Man, that's what I remember. 2 bombs. Oops, I don't know why I have those up. Of uranium. But now it's 1 bomb of uranium, 1 of plutonium. There's this whole big spiel about why this, and I need the plutonium. I don't know, it all sounds like crap to me. It all sounds like bull. Once something diverges from my timeline, it's hard for me to even study it seriously sometimes because I just read it and go, nope, that's bull. It's just bull. Learn the details of a complete baloney story. Bull through uranium for me. Yay! Go see 333 remembers. Yes. What the heck you had? I mean, why would you make 1 uranium and 1 plutonium bomb? You made that much progress in 3 weeks? They deleted the info about the uranium bomb just like NASA. Correct. That's what he was saying in the Trinity thing. They said, because we'll never need to make that again, we'll just delete it all. Where was that darn story? And they were saying that the let me see if I can find that one again. I highlighted it, but this particular doc, the highlights just, if I just touch something wrong, I lose all my highlights. The reasoning for it was stupid too. Okay, after the war ended, it was not expected that the inefficient little boy design would ever again be required, and many plans and diagrams were destroyed. Okay. Doesn't make any sense that they would spend billions to build a successful nuclear device and then destroy the plans and diagrams. Story reminds me of the story a few years ago when some retired NASA investigators were looking for the original NASA footage of the moon landing, and they were told that NASA had lost it. As it turned out, NASA had actually erased and reused the tapes in 1980s. I'm not joking. It was explained that they were having a tape shortage. That just sounds so asinine. It sounds so ridiculous. I mean, tapes weren't that expensive. Come on. Tape shortage. For such a, and like they didn't have anything else less historically significant that they could tape over. So they just went ahead and taped over. I mean, it's so stupid. The timeline's making me crazy today. Would a massive surrounding area be radioactive for decades? Yeah, that's how I was taught. But apparently now it all kind of goes away because it has a short half-life. I think half-lives are a lot shorter in this timeline. China syndrome. Wait, I don't think I knew about that before. I've definitely heard that word before. Discover safety cover-ups in a nuclear power plant. I just don't know. I didn't know enough about that to know if it was legit or not. I can't help you on that one. I'm sorry. A hole straight from the U.S. gets you in the Indian Ocean. Or a science website states popular myth. Yeah, that whole the China thing. I am positive in that one. And there's two reasons why. First of all, I looked on the map. Of course, we've all heard of it. But this is an interesting one. I think I may have talked about this before. I had a coworker at one of the places I worked at who was Chinese. And she once said, she made a joke about digging a hole to America. And she asked if we had anything like that. I said, yeah, we have a hole. If we dig a hole, we go to China. And she said, well, if we dig a hole, we go to America. That was a saying in China, she said, dig a hole to America. Because they were on opposite sides. So it made total sense. So there would just be no reason for them to say dig a hole to America and us to say dig a hole to China. Both of us say that for no good reason. It just makes no sense at all. They used to be on opposite sides. But, like you say, now it doesn't work. It's a total ME for me. And she even specifically said, which I already agreed with, she even said, yes, because as you realize, America is on the opposite side of the planet. And I said, yes, of course. And she thought it was the coolest thing ever that both countries had the same saying, but, like reversed. So we can't go back to the moon because we lost all the data. Yeah, that's one of their stupid stories. I just don't get it. I mean, we're supposed to have gone to the moon using like a calculator level amount of processing, and now we can't You can't just reprogram that crap? I mean, how long would that take? Like 5 minutes? I mean, the amount of processing that goes into a video game is vastly superior. Plutonium was first produced and isolated in 1940 by a deuteron bombardment of uranium, the cyclotron of the University of California at Berkeley. Yeah, you're looking into it now, huh? Yep. I think that whole plutonium thing is part of the tech earlier in time thing. So now we just had one uranium, and then 3 weeks later we already had a plutonium because our tech is so amazing in this timeline. But see, it doesn't make sense. It's just really, why would you? Anybody who fabricates stuff knows that it's way easier to make two of the same thing. Like, it's way easier to make two of the same thing than to make like one of one thing and one of another. It just, it doesn't make any sense at all. I think their argument was they didn't have enough uranium or something now, but I mean, who could keep up with all their lame excuses for this timeline? Yes, China was on the other side of the world, but now it's not. The funniest thing about NASA is the long-haired women spike it up with hairspray to try to replicate the no-gravity look. Tronite, I really don't think that's it. If you look into video production, women can have any hair that the video program decides that you will have. So, like, say I had a program running on my computer, and you see my hair like this. I could type in a few things, and my hair could be just like those girls that are supposedly on the space station. And every time I move my head, the program would make my hair look like it, just like theirs. It's no hairspray. Believe me, that is not hairspray. There is no hairspray that good on this planet. But there is video processing programs that will very easily do that. You can even get those, they're over the counter. Women know you can't do that with hairspray. It's not hairspray, my friends. It's not. I had long hair. You cannot get your hair to stick up like that and then also wave around. It can't be done. But the video processing program can do it easy peasy, peek-a easy. You will never, ever get your hair to do that with hairspray. Just get a couple of tinfoil sheets and you've got a spaceship for the moon. You know what? My old Moonlander did not look like a tinfoil can. OBS reconnected. Yay. Okay. It's just in our atmosphere, and it affects the light waves coming in, and it makes it look like there's a wave. Seems like I'm losing some of my connectivity here. Aquanet with a blow dryer comes close. I don't think you could keep hair that way. I don't think you could. A video on YouTube where it showed this woman was singing, and then they just have the program change her hair and her face, and she's all dancing around, and the program is able to track the location of her head and make the hair and everything move appropriately in real time. I know a guy who sports 10-inch spikes with it. Great for playing ring toss. Yeah, but did the spikes wave around like he's underwater? That's the trick there. All right. I'm not making very good progress. I'm not sure if I'm going to finish everything today. All right, blah, blah, blah. All right, I think I'm on this side. Nope. The heck, I haven't done anything. All right, I did that one. All right, somebody... We were talking about blood last week. who was that? That was Reinventing the Wheel TV is the name of the commenter. Reinventing the Wheel TV. Mentioned Bombay blood. That's another weird blood type. So there's another blood type now that they can only get their own blood. The HH blood group, also known as O, or the Bombay blood group, is a rare blood type. First discovered in Bombay, now known as Mumbai, in India in 1952. So they can. There's another weird blood type. They can only get their own blood. I guess there's antigens on the ABO phenotypes that they can't tolerate. They're missing all of those antigens. They do not express the H antigen. The antigen was present in O and A and B. So they can only get their own blood. They're a universal donor though, but they can only get their own blood. So that was another interesting blood type, Bombay blood. Okay, we did water as a greenhouse gas. Oh, no, I'm sleepy, but I'm going to try to explain this. This blood group thing has been driving me crazy because I just do remember that the universal donor and the universal receiver were split. And I was trying to remember how it was before for me. What's different now? So I'm going to go over it. I do remember there being O, A, B, A, B, and AB. I do not remember there ever being an O negative or an O positive. O was O. And I remember there being A negative, B negative, and AB negative. I'm not 100% positive, but I think that this is what they meant then. And this would make sense with my other memories too. So there would be an AB negative. So if you were an AB negative, what that used to mean, because we didn't have that rhesus factor, which is now the RHD factor, but we didn't have the RH or the RHD factor back then. So AB negative in my old timeline meant that you did not have, you were negative for A and B antigens. So since you didn't have those antigens, then you were a universal donor because you were missing all the antigens. If you were B negative, you were just missing the B antigen. If you were A negative, you were missing the A antigen. And if you were O, you had all the antigens. So O's were the universal receivers and the ABs were the universal donors back then. But somehow they slipped in this RH thing, and AB means you have the antigens, but if you're negative, then you're negative for RH, which is now RHD. So it's all flipped around. But when I thought about that and I realized that all of that explanation, I'm pretty sure is how it was before, and it fits with all my memories. And it explains how the universal donor and the universal receiver can reverse. So I'm like 95% sure that that's how it was. At least it's close. So that explains it. My old way versus my new way. It's been bugging me too because I actually studied this, but it was like 15 years ago where I spent some time studying the blood groups. And it really pissed me off that I couldn't remember what I learned, but I'm pretty sure that is what it was. All right. This one's from Bob Bobertson. This is an especially interesting one. I think I'm just going to do a couple more and then I'm going to hit the hay because it's like 2 a.m. now. Perfect storm. And pollen. YouTube. This is it here. All right, so a new excuse for colored skies. Now, we've heard the pollen that said that the pollen can make rainbow sun and rainbow halos around the sun. And we've definitely heard pollen can make the clouds look red or the sky look red. Well, apparently pollen can also now make the sky look green. So this is perfect storm of pollen across the southeast. So they're saying that all this pollen,
right now,
which
this
to me
video
was
comes
just
from
yellow.
Georgia.
There's
A
the
helicopter
video.
flying low.
And kill the sound. Okay, so basically they're flying over a helicopter. All this pollen's getting kicked out. Now I do remember some of these trees kicking up a lot of pollen. But what they're saying now is it creates this. It makes the sky, it just floats in the sky and makes the sky yellow-green. So supposedly this happened. Drone captured shots of green haze floating over the Durham area. The pollen count is the highest we've seen so far this year, April 10th. So yes, the sky can be green now due to pollen. That is not in my old timeline, obviously. Covered that. All right. One page done. Let's see how many more do I have. I covered that one. Well, maybe I could push through on these. I'm almost done. Okay, I'm going to try to push through and get all of them done. All right, this is something that didn't used to happen in my old timeline. If your ring got stuck, you might lose your finger. What would not happen is if your ring got stuck, your finger flesh would grow over the top of it in a giant, disgusting blob. So apparently this woman's ring got stuck and her flesh just grew over the top. And there is a x-ray of it with the rings in there. And that's just totally creepy. Did not happen in my old timeline. I think before it would just be a case of, rot and gangrene or something like that. But so anyway, they're saying she was schizophrenic and that's why she didn't get it taken care of. But still, no. All right, let's see what you guys are all talking about here. Static couldn't even make the wave effect for hair. Yeah, if you look into it, though, there is just no problem with their current video processing doing it. But yeah, you look at, the whole, the images of people in space look totally different now. It used to be in my old timeline that you absolutely could not spill any liquids because it would all just disintegrate into millions of droplets and get everywhere and contaminate everything, and you had electronics everywhere. Now they do it as a demo for the video all the time, but that was a big no. You couldn't have any liquids loose in the cabin. Just the way they float around and move around looks totally different now. So most things are faked and some change in the past. What the fuck does it mean? What does it mean? I can only guess. My personal guess, which is kind of vague, but I personally think that all the past stuff is getting phased out. It's getting debunked. It's getting degraded. One or the other or both. So the quality is going down. The science is being undermined. It's being declared as having been a hoax the whole time. More and more evidence is coming for us that it's a hoax. It's going to be overthrown. I don't know. I guess we're going to live on a new set of facts now. I hope that they're better ones. You've got a lot of new, neat stuff coming up that was never here before. That's really interesting. Like the step wells of India, all the ancient new relics, the new old relics. Whereas the old relics, like the pyramids in them, are really degrading. They look crappy and ramshackle now compared to the way they were. So I don't know, maybe it's just a new world, It's the new generation is going to probably grow up and look at the pyramids and think that they're, no big whoop compared to these other things. They're not going to be the thing of the future. That's my guess. You know, like I said, I'm not omniscient, so. We're not in Kansas anymore. Yes, I agree with you there. Won't be long you can breathe on the moon. I would not be surprised if they get where maybe you just need a little mask or something. I mean, look what's happened to Mars. I mean, there's water there, there's rain, there's ice just under the ground. Everything mythical was real at some point, and everything real may become mythical. Everything that was once real. Yes, there's some weird business there. Mars looks Earth-like now, not red. Exactly. We've discussed that one on it. The color change. It's not that red anymore. They don't bother coloring the photos red. See, I just don't know. I mean, there wasn't a lot of evidence for fakery in that stuff in my old timeline. Maybe it always was fake, but it was just meant to look real. Maybe it's just meant to look fake now. Maybe, I mean, I just wouldn't be surprised if the whole universe was just a sim of some kind, like a dream. I mean, if you look at Buddhism and all the spiritual teachings, they pretty much all say that same thing, that it's like a play or a video game that we're in. So when you say they color the moon, they don't bother to color it red anymore. You know, they can change any detail they want, whoever they are that runs the simulation. Mushrooms on the moon. I think last I checked, those were still not accepted as fact. They were just something that looks sort of mushroomy, but they don't think it's mushrooms. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. That might be coming, though. Arthur and Guinevere are real historical people. Yes, I agree with you that that was not the case before. Have you heard of Earth's Star Trek style shield? Reflects particles like on a hard glass wall. No. Check that out. Earth's. How do they say they call it like that? Star Trek like invisible shield found thousands of miles above Earth. What? There's too many weirds today for my brain. 7,200 miles above Earth blocks so-called killer electrons, which whip around the planet at near light speed and have known to threaten astronauts, fry satellites. Was discovered in the Van Allen radiation belts. Those freaking... Oh, no, I'm not going to go into that. The latest mystery revolves around the extremely sharp boundary at the inner edge of the outer belt. Appears to block the ultra-fast electrons. It's almost like these electrons are running into a glass wall in space. Somewhat like the shields created by force fields on Star Trek. Interesting. Okay, so it's just these high-speed electrons, apparently. Interesting. That'll bear keeping an eye on. Earth Star Trek shield. People say the Emmy is slowing down. There's new weird crap all the time. I think we're just getting kind of like, harder to impress. I'll put that one on there. I have to admit my brain is kind of full tonight. The moon now has an atmosphere. Yes, we have covered that one. The moon, actually, the moon that has an atmosphere is kind of old for me. They said it had a thin atmosphere for a long time. Now, the moon being in the Earth's atmosphere, that one just like, what, a month ago? Something like that. Why is there so little atmosphere on the moon? Oh, okay, let's see. I think it used to be gravity, wasn't it? Nothing to hold it down. You know, way, way, way back, they said it had no atmosphere. Way back. And then that famous video where it looks like he's planting the flag and it looks like the flag moves, and they're like, how could that happen? Because there's no atmosphere. And then, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, suddenly, oh, well, there's this little bit of atmosphere. Why does the moon have no atmosphere? It has an atmosphere. It has basically no atmosphere. Basically has no atmosphere. The Earth has an atmosphere, nitrogen, oxygen, but on the moon, the surface is directly exposed to outer space. The primary reason because the moon is too small. Gravity. Okay, that's the one I remember. Reduces the amount of gravity, strong gravity. I think also electromagnetic fields used to have something to do with it. And since the moon is dead, then there was no electromagnetic fields. I don't know if that's going to come up now. Lose to outer. Another reason is because the moon does not currently experience plate tectonics and geologic upwelling. Plate tectonics allows for a cycling of crust, and convergence, divergence of plates occurs and leads to volcanoes and gas escaping at the boundaries. That makes sense, but I've not heard that one. I just heard it was the electromagnetic field that was needed, not the barfing of gases. Another reason is because the moon is close to the sun. This reason is tied closely to the moon having weak gravity, solar wind. Okay, see, this is where I remember the electromagnetic fields. The electromagnetic fields would deflect the solar wind, and that would protect the atmosphere. They're saying it's tied closely with weak gravity. The solar wind from the sun helps strip away a weak atmosphere. Earth and Venus do not suffer the same fate, since the gravity is high enough to hold the atmosphere in place. I don't know why they're talking about gravity. For me, it was the electromagnetic fields that would block the solar wind. There are other moons in the solar system that are better able to hold an atmosphere due to being further away from the sun, among other reasons. Okay, well, some of that's changed and some of it hasn't. But you know what? My old moon did not have ice all frickin' all over the place, too. So. Yes, this moon has a... That's kind of old for me, though. I remember there being a weak atmosphere for a long time. I think that they're kind of like... First it's this, and then... See, now they're saying it has basically no atmosphere. But I think that it's something where it's just slowly becoming more prominent. I do remember way back when it was no atmosphere. But it's been at least 10 years now that I've been hearing that there's a weak atmosphere. But then the latest one was that the moon is inside the Earth's atmosphere. That was the Earth's atmosphere that was way out there. It's ridiculous crap. What's their explanation for why the Earth's atmosphere can go way out there past the electromagnetic field and everything? Have I heard that there was in 1920s there was radios that could print out newspaper? I have covered that one. Yes, I did. I don't know if it was. I don't think it was me that came up with it, but somebody on here said it, and it's been on here. Mars lost its atmosphere too. That's what they said, but are they still saying that? I mean, it's got freaking vapor clouds and it's got polar ice caps. Mars lose atmosphere. And then they would say they didn't know why Mars lost its atmosphere, but maybe because it lost some of its gravity. The erosion of Mars' atmosphere increases during solar storms. As the shielding effect of the global magnetic field was lost when the planet's internal dynamo cooled. Yeah, that's what I remember. You need that the magnetic field. But, I mean, it has atmosphere, so... You know what? I'm going to be right back. I got to get more water. I'm super thirsty. Dying of thirst today. All right. There's suns that have water. Oh my God. Water found on sun. Stupid. You guys are killing me today. How can there be water in the sun? As you will see below. Water consists of tiny particles called molecules. Oh God, is that the same one again? All right. I want to find one that's got bigger writing. My brain is too tired for all that. Water on the sun. Come on, give me some easy ones. If we had sun made of water, does the sun have any water? Water has been detected on the sun. Actually, it was detected as steam over a particularly cool spot where the temperatures were only about 1000 K. All right, so there's water on the sun in the form of steam. Wouldn't the water molecules just get torn apart? You would think that the hydrogen and the oxygen would just be like, psst. Water on the sun. I think the Emmy is just trolling us at this point. This stuff's worse than any troll on Reddit. Yeah, I got a haircut, thanks. Yep. Oh, it makes me look thinner. I'm going to have to get a haircut every week. The compression of gravity makes the atoms and molecules more complex. Okay. I still am having trouble with water on the sun. Chanty Moody is preparing the Emmy storyline for the Emmy. They're going to say that they only thought we needed breathing apparatuses on the moon, but since the moon is in Earth's atmosphere, we always could breathe on it. We just didn't know. That'd make a good one. Or it was a common misconception. Eva, please Google Earth Star Trek shield discovered. I already did. It said that they're blocking the high-speed electrons. Not that it blocks everything, just the high-speed electrons. I'm drinking water like Zuckerberg. I don't know. How does he drink it? I'm just like really thirsty today. I don't know. It's just one of those days. Civilizations on the sun. Who knows? Who knows? There's one that spits out water bullets. Really? The Emmy is getting very imaginative. Star found shooting water bullets. The MA is getting really imaginative on these planets and stuff. There's like the planet that rains diamonds. Star found shooting water bullets. Sun-like star has been found with jets that blast epic quantities of water into interstellar space, shooting out droplets that move faster than a speeding bullet. This discovery suggests that protostars may be seeding the universe with water. These stellar embryos shoot jets of material from their north and south poles as growth is fed by infalling dust. I seem to recall way back they used to say they didn't know that water would be like a huge resource and that there couldn't be a lot of places that had it. Only Earth had water. Now we see ice on the moon. We've got ice on Mars. They're just, I don't know. It just seems like there's water everywhere now. So now it comes out of the suns, apparently. Seeding the universe with water out of suns. That's funny. That's funny. The water, that's where it came from, out of the sun. Operation Chowdown. No, I have not heard of Operation Chowdown. I'm afraid to read this now. Okay. Running out of water. Drop parcels of food in the soccer field. Okay, so they threw food out. And then they, okay, well, I haven't heard of it. And they made the words thanks, Yanks in tulips. Okay, I don't know. Now I haven't heard of it. It's not super weird though, but. Beer out in space. There better not be beer out in space. The trouble with freaking ME is some of it is so ridiculous that you don't know where to draw the line. There better not be beer in space. You better be lying. All right, the astronauts brought beer out to space. All right. There's no beer in space. Nice try. At least not yet. Have you heard of Mel's Hole? And you guys got a million of them tonight. I don't even have to come with any. I'll just sit here and just look at yours all day. Mel's Hole, according to an urban legend, an allegedly bottomless pit near Ellensburg, Washington. Interesting. Bottomless pit. No, I've never heard of Mel's Hole. Boy, there's a lot of jokes that could be made on that one. All right. Later investigation revealed no such person was listed. Waters claimed that he owned rural property 9 miles west of Ellensburg that contained a mysterious hole. Infinite depth, blah, blah, blah. Supposedly the hole does not exist and is geologically impossible. All right, so it doesn't exist then. All right. It was claimed, but they never found it, and they never found a guy named Mel. Okay, so at least in this timeline, apparently it's a hoax. I'm gonna just cross that one out. Hot ice. All right, let's look. How to make hot ice. Is hot ice dangerous? All right, so it's like a chemical thing. I've not heard of that one. Mike the Headless Chicken. Yes, we have covered Mike the Headless Chicken. And there's more than one of them, too. There are multiple headless chickenses in the current timeline. Yes, there's supposed to be alcohol in space. Are you sure? Alcohol. Oh, gosh. Alcohol clouds in space. It exists in large quantities in space. Oh my God, you guys are killing me today. Alcohol in space. I feel like I've been drinking too much alcohol. I haven't drunk any, but I feel like I have too much. Alcohol in space. How come we never hear about this good stuff on TV? Is in a region known as W3O, only about 6,500 light years away. How come this wasn't on The Simpsons? It's methyl alcohol, so it isn't suitable for drinking. There is some ethyl alcohol, but it's not nearly as common. Oh, darn. All right. Is there Gatorade in space? Next, it'll be flying pigs. You know, I must get that like at least twice a month that someone will say that. We have swimming pigs. Showed up a couple years ago, but flying pigs, not quite yet. Alrighty, where are we now? All right, this is a quickie. When do you guys remember them finding the Dead Sea Scrolls? I think I might have mentioned this one before, but I'm not 100% on it. In this timeline, they found them in 1954, approximately, last time I checked, which was a couple days ago. There's a lot more caves of them, too. Look, there's like 12 freaking caves. There was only like 3 caves before in my old timeline, and they discovered them in my lifetime. I definitely was past 10 years old. I was probably in my teens or 20s. And I remember the discovery that they had discovered these. We didn't have much info for a few years until they got in there and they started translating some of it. And then we heard that, you know, just like the basics of what was there. They didn't find them in 54 in my timeline. It's way too early. They were found in my lifetime, so like after the 80s for sure. So I just want to mention that. No way it was not, and even there's some yammer about 1947. You know, I was reading and I was trying to initial discovery 46 to 47. Okay, so they're saying way back then. No freaking way. No. Saturn's rings have become more solid. I covered that last week, actually. There was a photo of them where you could see them so clearly now. Way back in my old timeline, way back, they said for a while that Saturn's rings were not 100% for sure because they were hard to see. And then they finally sent out one of their little probes, got a close up. Oh, yes, indeed. Mars really has rings, blah, blah, blah. Saturn really has rings. And now you could totally see them. And there's more and more planets getting rings, too. So, cat-faced spider. I've covered cat-faced spider. Oh, there's really? There's a nebula full of raspberry flavor smell. Wouldn't surprise me. All we're missing is the aliens. Although some of the humans on this planet are starting to look like it. All right, let's see. Here we go. All right, this one. Think of the closest brush with nuclear war that you remember in our history. When did we almost go to nuclear war? Think of that. Type it up if you remember. Because I bet you were thinking like Cuba maybe, but no. One of the closest brushes with nuclear war was Russia versus China. Now, I really remember them being kind of buds in my old timeline. I don't remember them being enemies at all. And apparently in this timeline, they almost went to nuclear war. They actually have decades of regional rivalry and have been at each other's throats more than once. In fact, in 1970, the Soviet Union started asking around about whether or not anyone would really care if they launched a preemptive nuclear strike against China. No, I don't think so. Russia and China tried to smooth over the regional troubles in the common interest of trying to constrain America. China was basically to the Soviet Union what North Korea is to China today. The Soviet Union was much larger and stronger. So in 1964, China detonated its first device, becoming the fifth country, blah, blah, blah. This combined with simmering tensions over border conflicts and brought the two countries' relations to a low boil. The troops fought skirmishes against one another on their shared border while both sides greatly built up their troops and their stockpiles of less than nuclear weapons. This grew into the Sino-Soviet border conflict, a 7-month undeclared war between the two sides from March to September. Moscow seemed to hope that internal divisions in China would distract Mao. Anyway, I don't remember any of that stuff. Very suspicious. I call no baloney. That did not happen. Yeah, see, Cuban Missile Crisis. Everybody remembers Cuban Missile Crisis. China and Russia were pretty chuckle buddies in my timeline. They did not have a 7-month border skirmish war and almost go to nuclear war. That did not happen. Wombats pooping cubes. Yeah, I've covered that one. Plume remembers them being buddies. Yep. Omega Man remembers them fighting. China has nuclear weapons. Actually, you're right. Way back then, I don't remember them having nukes way back then, now that you bring that up. Having them now, yeah, but wait, when was that? When did they even say that they got those? That was too long ago, though. Okay, this one's kind of a neat one. I mean, you could say this is not an Emmy because it's kind of new, maybe, but it looks like it's taking over really quickly, and I think you're going to find that in another 2 years, these have always existed and long been known about. These magnetic sand dunes. These are really cool. So apparently, in this timeline, volcanoes will barf out a bunch of magnetic dust, and the dust is magnetic, so it clings to itself. And then the wind blows on one side of it, and the dust shifts over to the front, but it doesn't blow away because the magnetic properties keep it clutched together. So the whole dune moves in like a singular mass across the surface of ordinary land. And it's shifting sand dunes. These strange piles of magnetic volcanic ash travel across the desert about 50 feet per year. So just really cool. I think I saw this on What on Earth not too long ago. That's a good show to watch. But, once it gets onto that show, it's usually been around for a while. So, you're kind of slacking if you haven't heard about it. Olduvai Gorge is where they were finding that. Interesting because, see, there's a nice big one. Olduvai Gorge is where they found all those human fossils, too. So you have this weird dune that just travels like a beast all across the land. So all the other dirt will be all different kinds of dirt and not magnetic. So anyway, they're cool. They're cool. Jenny Moody's going to sleep. Yeah, I'm going to try to hit it soon myself. Okay, got that one. I got the clouds. All right, I think I have one left. One more. Okay, so as a kid, like most girls, I used to really like horses, and the Arabian horses were a big popular one. I've been seeing some weird looking horses lately. So apparently, in this timeline, Arabian horses have always been known for their dish-shaped head. Now, I don't know what that means, but this apparently is what it means. These look ridiculous to me. These are dish-shaped. So this is how they're breeding them now. With their nose like bent. They look like cartoon characters. So they're saying it's an exaggeration of the old horses, but look at them. It's completely ridiculous. One thing that's weird is I don't remember them being known for a dish-shaped head. Their heads were normal horsey heads. They didn't have dish-shaped heads. They didn't look like cartoon characters. Look at that thing. Its face is all caved in. That just wasn't how they were. So I guess they mean there's like a dish on the top. No, there just wasn't. So I actually looked at old photos of them, and it was weird. I mean, look at that thing. That looks ridiculous. Of course, there's a bunch of controversy about it, but this thing that they were always known for dish-shaped heads, I'm like, no. The other thing is they're just freaking skinny now. Horses in general are getting really thin to me. I mean, they look cool, but they used to just be way more burly. I mean, that is like a normal horse. And I've never seen such skinny horses before this timeline. This is just way skinnier than any horse I had ever seen in my old timeline. No matter what breed, They weren't that thin. They were just way more beefy. All of them. There was none of these super skinny horses. Well, they look cool, but no. They just, no. All right, so I tried to look up old pictures of them. The bigger the picture, the more the head looks normal. Part of the problem is it's very hard. I've looked and looked for old photos of Arabians, and I did not find many. The smaller the picture, the more likely it was to look kind of dished. The bigger pictures look less dish, which sounds kind of like a cop-out, but I didn't find many. I did find this one, though. This one, this one, this one. And they all look real dished in these 2,000-year-old Arabian horses, cliff paintings in North China. All of them. Now, granted, this is not exactly the world's best looking image of a horse anyway, so you could definitely argue that the whole thing sucked. But they definitely made a big effort to put the dish head in there. This 2,000-year-old ones. Let's see if I can find a couple more of those. Boing. Oh, there was a whole bunch of them last I looked. Now I can't find them. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, there's another one, but you can't hardly see the thing. Let's just say they all sucked equally as that one you just saw, and they all showed the really dished face. So I'm wondering if we're going to get to the point that they're saying that the horses have always had this. I'm not sure yet. But I think it might be coming. That one you can't really tell, but it does look dished. Looks dished right there. So, I don't know. But those horses look ridiculous. That's all I have to say. Anamorbidos, gotta hit the hay. Yeah, I'm right around the corner. Arabian horses look majestic. What has the ME done to them? Yeah, they were beefy too. Now they're looking skinny. Now I do think they look quite beautiful, the skinny ones. I mean, because they're graceful, they're not starving. But the face, it looks ridiculous. They were known for their height, their running ability, their wildness. They look like seahorses. Yeah. That's the thing. There's so many websites saying they're known for their dish-shaped head. They did not even have a dish-shaped head. They had a normal, the head was straight or a little curved the other way, domed. Yeah, I thought the first time I saw one, I thought it was like a plastic figurine. Yeah, now so they're supposed to have big eyes and big nostrils so that they can take in a lot of air. Big rib cages because they're runners. Yeah, they're skinny now. I can deal with the body, but the head, no. And they're bulbous eyed too. It just doesn't look right. Jordan Bernard Shaw, 99 cents. Thank you. Appreciate it. Keep me awake for 5 more minutes. Clydesdale horses are giants like the Tartarian giants who rode them. Well, they're big horses. I know that. Tartaria, when we first saw Tartaria, was it about a year ago? Somebody on Redcon saw it and we're like, I don't remember that. But it was Tartaria then. I think it's Tartari now. They've changed it up. That whole Tartarian, that wasn't in my old timeline. There was a little bitty place called Tartaria, I think, but it was just a little. It didn't. There wasn't a giant. There wasn't a giant nation that controlled like a huge swath of land or anything. It was just a little bitty place, a little subsection. That's all we had. Blue horses. Let's see. Let me look up Clydesdales. How big are those? Ridiculous. You know what's getting huge lately is wolves. I mean, they were always big, but they're just getting ridiculous now. Clydesdales. Wolves are just huge now. Dang it. I mean, I know they were big. I need to see them. I don't know. They do look big, but I'm just not enough of an expert. They look more, this one definitely looks more beefy than I remember. You know, I can't swear to that one. I'm just not enough of a horse expert on that. Size is kind of a tough one to catch. The Emmy can be really sneaky about that one. Tartari. There was a little part of Russia. I mean, I'd forgive anybody for not knowing about it, but it was like where tartar sauce came from, literally. There was just a little tiny, like, province of Russia, and that was it. There wasn't like this nation thing. But I mean, it would just be like just one little piddly province area. It wasn't very historically significant, so. Now they're the super muscular animals. Yeah, you've got those double muscle animals. At first it started with that one dog that was said to have a genetic mutation. And then there was the giant bulls, who the whole breed of the bulls have it. Oh yeah, blue horses. That's what I was going to look up. I'm going to look this up, and then I'm probably going to go to bed because it's late. All right, are they really blue? Blue horses. All right, so it's a painting. What's this? Blue Rowan foals. They does look kind of blue, don't they? Blue Rowan foals. Or is it just a camera trick? I think they're blue like Russian blue cats. In other words, they're gray. I don't think they're actually blue. Not yet, anyway. There's a lot of things that are called blue in the current timeline. They're not blue, they're gray. At least in my old timeline. I wonder if eventually those will be an actual color, but it might take some more shifting before we get to that far. They're like a very neat gray color. Yep. You might need another 5 years of shifts or something before we start seeing some color in those guys. We're getting there, though. They're working on it. Yeah, there's a lot of other those metallic horses. I've covered those before. The horses with the metallic coats. Those are new for me. Some of the horses with the giant furry manes are new for me. And there's those Siberian horses that live up in the snow. And they're supposed to be wild, natural snow horses. Those are new for me. I've heard of the roan horses, though. I didn't know much about them, but like the blue dog blue Dobermans, yeah, and the Russian blue cats, they're all gray. I covered the elephants with the breasts. Yep, that was me a couple weeks ago. Elephants with the boobs. I want Pegasus to be real. Yeah, you know. How long till we get the unicorns? I have to say, you know, a horse with a single horn or some kind of a hooved animal with a single horn would be far less strange than a giant whale with a horn. So if we can have a whale with a horn, we should be able to have no problemo a ruminant with a horn. What do snow horses eat? I think they eat like during the rest of the season. They tank up on chow, and then just like any of the other ruminants that live in the snowy places, they'll like paw the earth to get at the foliage, and they'll kind of half starve their way through the snowy season. Let's see. Let me see if I can remember the name of those horses. I was like Yakutian, I think that was it. Yeah, Yakutian. They're neat looking horses, fuzzy. Look at them, they're real fuzzy. Is a native horse breed from the Siberian Sakha Republic, or Yakutia. Temperatures fluctuate between 100 degrees to minus 94 F, and winter may last for 8 months. Yakutian horses are kept unstable year-round. They've been present in Siberia for 800 years. Larger than other primitive horse breeds. Metabolism adjusts to seasonal needs. They accumulate large fat reserves. In summer, they eat a lot, carbohydrate metabolism. They show an increased production of anti-freezing compounds. They may further avoid frostbite by reducing the volume of circulating blood during times of extreme cold, as indicated by an increased responsiveness of their genetic networks involved in oxidative stress responses, vasodilation, and blood coagulation. Yakutian horses. That's a good point. If it's snowing 8 months out of the year, and they're native, I mean, one would imagine, are they all? They must have some wild ones. Eat what? This horse that can endure Siberian winters. Survive by eating reindeer meat. Oh, wait. The horse breeders survive by eating that. Yeah, I'm not really finding it. All right, well, I'm going to leave that to you guys to hunt up on the Google because I'm sleepy. All right, now I'm almost afraid to see if you guys have any more amazing MEs. I'm not looking at any more horses. I know there's a million cool ones out there. All right, I'm hitting it. It's time for me to go. I'm sleepy. Shoot. All right, I'm going to do it on this one then. Doop, doop, doop. All right. Thank you, everyone. You guys got lots of good Emmys for me today. I appreciate it. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.